Going live here. Just going live here on a couple different channels on Facebook, on YouTube. It is just posting now. Let's see. Okay, we are live now. The video starts recording before going live, but we are now live. So welcome in. Come on in if you guys are kind of watching from out. Just come on in. Welcome, welcome. Today I will be doing Akashic readings. So just kind of welcoming in people. Come on in. I can start off with kind of some collective readings, but if you have a question, if you're looking for guidance, feel free to type in the chat here. I have stepped into my Akashic Enlightenment. I'm in the Akashic field, and I am a psychic medium. So, if you have any questions, I can help provide some guidance here, right? So just getting started, and we will see where the day goes. So hopefully, yesterday and the day before was definitely lively, and we had some people I had someone from Scotland join. It was really cool. So feel free to type in the chat where you're from or if you have any questions. And if not, I will go ahead and let me actually just put this up here so people know when they come in. Ask questions in the chat here whenever you're ready. And I am going to kind of start off with a collective if you don't have any questions yet. So, and this is just for anyone that's here and anyone that's watching this. And there's this just connection to, I'm hearing belief. Connection and believing in like our steps forward and trusting that innate intuition. And I just keep hearing, am I on the right journey? Am I going and in the right direction? And so part of my understanding and what I keep hearing is like, it's always the right direction. It's our perception of where we're at and the opportunity to say, well, okay, I've taken these steps forward here in this capacity, and maybe it doesn't look like the right direction, but it's an opportunity to move and release things and create space within us. And part of that is creating that space of belief that wherever we are journeying to, belief in this moment, in this present moment, and not so much as what I'm hearing too, as well, as like a little bit on past. There's a little bit of focus on past, and I know that we are human, and things from the past can be dictating where we feel that we're going. But it's really, what I'm hearing is it's important to not get really too attached to that past, especially because a lot of the past is flowing from it could be flowing from trauma or from ideas that are from other generations or society. And that is, if we let that dictate where we're going, we're going to create that same reality. Right. So just allowing ourselves to flow into the present moment more and more and more and release that past. And I'm even hearing a bit about forgiveness as well. Just diving into looking at, and people have different ideas on what forgiveness means. For me, I look at it as a frequency and a vibration. And I also look at it as, if I'm right, we're talking about energy. If my energy has attention to a situation, a person, that energy is flowing back and forth between them and that situation and that person. And the more that happens, the more that our power is moving to that person, that situation, right? And so to me, this forgiveness and this vibration and this frequency is about me holding my power within and not so much as giving it away over there. So that's um a big piece. Not giving someone maybe a pass on like saying that what someone did was right, right? But looking in this aspect of, all right, I'm not going to pay attention, right? I'm acknowledging my feelings, I'm releasing, and I'm not giving that situation or person attention anymore. And now I have my power back. So I am hearing a bit about forgiveness between the collective here, which is always a big theme, right? We're always moving in and out of different things that want to come up, and forgiveness, stepping into that peace and that acceptance, is an opportunity for us to really raise our vibration and then attract and manifest a reality that is reflective of that, right? Imagine that freedom, that power within that we are innately holding, and that it's not to a situation or person. And that energy is flowing all within our body, up and down. And then we're always manifesting. We're manifesting every second of the day, right? Are we intentionally manifesting now this life with this vibration and this power that's within us that holds peace, and creating that reality from that, right, is beautiful. So it's definitely a good space to be in. It's a good opportunity to be more intentional with how things unfold and what past has now maybe come up again for us to review, and for us to finally review it and forgive and release it. And even release it from our body, I'm hearing. So whether it's some of the people I hear or watching, I feel this connection to holding some of these emotions or this pain in the body. So when we do that, sometimes too, I'm feeling kind of a little bit in like the neck space. So I don't know if anyone is resonating specifically with that, but I'm feeling this a little bit of pain and soreness in this kind of like lower neck area. And there's definitely a connection to this expression and this holding back. And I'm feeling these emotions, a little bit of like, it could be like anger, it could be sadness, grief, just holding that in the body. And so what the body really wants to do is it wants to release, it wants to move that energy. And by us acknowledging that's one step of our body releasing. We are healers in its own right, right? There's not giving that power. I do energy healing as well to help support, but we are all healers. So when we step into this moment of, yes, I'm acknowledging, I'm seeing it, and I'm releasing it because it's not serving me, that is when we give our body that chance to move that energy through and allow that whatever physical manifestation of the emotion that has now come up in our body, we allow that to move through in a beautiful way, and we allow ourselves to really heal ourselves. So I don't know if that's resonating with anyone. This is just kind of a collective reading. And whenever anyone has any questions, if you are looking for guidance, pop something in the chat, come on in, put your question in there. I'm within the Akashic field. So feel free to kind of, whatever's on your mind, I can kind of help with that and kind of provide that support. You can also check out my site as well. So while I am seeing if anyone has any questions, I also have a giveaway. So if you check out my website, and this is how you kind of get to it. Or when you go on my website, as soon as you go onto myawakeningwithin.com, you'll see a pop-up that shows a giveaway. And so you can enter to win a free reading. There are attunements. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you can win. So definitely feel free to pop over there. And definitely feel free to put your questions in. It doesn't even have to be specifically about you. You could be like, well, how do we like manifest more? You know, how do we release from the body? You know, that was already something that was coming through. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to do as a collective to shift and co-create this reality that is empowered by our own knowledge, by our own innate knowledge. So definitely some powerful stuff there, and a lot of opportunity to heal from within. So I'm feeling called to move a little bit of the energy. So no one's put any questions in the chat yet. And I'm just flowing in, kind of channeling with some readings here. So feel free to type in if you have any questions. But if not, I'm going to just kind of do a little bit of energy healing, get this energy moving here. So feel free to just kind of close your eyes. Awesome. Just moving some of that energy. And I know we have people popping in and out, so feel free to subscribe to my channels. Today I'm doing Akashic channeled messages, and I was just doing some collective channeled messages, and I can keep that flowing. Or if you have a question, if you're like, how did this lady's video pop up on my desktop, my mobile, who is this person? I was doing a little bit of some collective readings, and I'd be more than happy to do if anyone has any personal questions. So pop it in the chat if you want. Also feel free to subscribe to my channels if you are like, hey, I can't sit here for this moment, but I want to come back. I am doing a ton of these the next few days, Tuesday to Friday of next week as well at 2 Pacific time. So I'll just keep it flowing and just see what else is kind of moving here. So I am getting I just keep hearing healers. I just keep hearing about healers being here. And whether you guys believe it or not, right, we're all healers, right? There's not one person who's like more powerful than another. We're all connected with the same energy source. We all have energy flowing through us. It's a matter of our belief and connecting to that and releasing what is in the way of us really stepping into that power. Right. And so I'm a teacher who comes from a space of not like, oh, you have to come to me to do this. I really help to teach from a space of what you can do within your own life, within what tools, what needs to be released. And once we're releasing that, we're flowing more effortlessly. We're co-creating from our true self. And I have really stepped in and I stumbled upon what I do with Akashic Enlightenment and working with the Akashic Records. And I stumbled on that by first getting into energy work, getting kind of a Reiki 1 attunement and stepping into ayahuasca, doing ayahuasca a week later. And I started channeling light language and just moving that energy through me and seeing that energy from a different way, of course, right? With ayahuasca and kind of having that out of body experience where I could actually perceive what's always happening, that energy just flowing throughout. So allowing ourselves to kind of step into that. And so I stumbled into this space of what is happening to me. So I feel like there could be some people in that space who are watching this, who could be stumbling upon this on like, hey, I have a lot of things happening and I don't know what's happening. And we always are, the more that we release, the clearer our channel becomes, the more that we step into our innate abilities of inner knowing and understanding and allowing us to kind of transmute our own energy. So after I had done my ayahuasca trip, I found someone or I saw someone who was doing the same thing as me, and they led me to my teacher who I learned to read my Akashic from and step into all of the consciousness hallways and become attuned to them and raise my vibration, raise my frequency, and then hold that space for others, right? And sometimes it's just a matter of between some of the traumas or emotions or things that we've navigated through life, just in that moment of being seen and having a lot of this unconscious, subconscious energy come up and allowing that to just kind of see it from that third perspective and not be in it because it's from the past, right? My stuff here, this is from the past, and I'm creating the past by allowing myself to perceive what it means to me today in this moment. I have that ability. And so I really started to step into this role of my own power. And the more that I started to do that, the more that I started to release. And then before I knew it, I started channeling. So just kind of, right, clearing that channel, releasing what is not serving us, and allowing us to step into all of these abilities that we all have. But it's that belief system, it's that worthiness, right? I had some core wounds around my self-worth and diving into, well, why this or why that or how come this? And all of that energy floating here was in my way of moving forward. Like when I started my business, I was really excited. But I was, still working through some of these core wounds. And at that moment, I was stepping into this opportunity to say, well, I can, really face and move forward and understand that I'm worthy of opening up a business, even if not everyone understands it, which was a big thing in itself. And I feel like this is coming through as this might relate to some people. If you're doing something that people don't get, we could get a lot of judgment and feel that, but it's about stepping into that alignment and who we are. And so part of my journey was understanding this worthiness that I had this unconscious energy, all this stuff, a root belief system that was way back to when I was younger. And moving through that energy and allowing me to then say, I'm doing this and work within my Akashic and to move that energy and allow it to be seen finally and allow those emotions to come up and move that through. Allow me to instead step fully into my business because I did step into it, but I stepped into it in a way with confidence. right? Instead of doing little things that weren't really moving the needle, I really stepped into it because I really finally started to believe in that confidence and that connection to who I am. And all of that, the more that we step into that alignment, the more that we step into that space of knowing this is where I'm supposed to be going, then the more that things unfold. So for me, how it unfolded was my job was eliminated, and I had all this support from the universe, you can say, where it unfolded in a beautiful way. And I didn't think that that was possible. So stepping into that alignment and finally doing all of these actions and working and understanding my worthiness, that was a big space and me turning the tables here. So and I know this is coming through as like a personal perspective here, but I'm just flowing with these energies, and I feel like there could be some people here that could relate to you if you're in a space of like trying to fulfill your passion, and like feeling stuck, feeling like maybe in this consistent pattern of like maybe I take a step forward and I take a step back, and I take 2 steps forward and I feel like I take 3 steps back. And that was where I felt at that point in time. I felt this pattern of like, well, I know this is innately what I'm supposed to be doing, but this consistent pattern of, by the way, I'm doing things that were kind of little tasks that weren't really moving the needle. I wasn't really putting myself out there. And with that, the same patterns cycled back over and over again until I got to this deep core wound and this connection to worthiness and being seen, and looking at that nervous system around that as well, looking at how do I feel within my body when I am being seen by more than one person, right? Because being online, that's being seen from all these people, and holding that capacity and having that nervous system to reflect that, and doing the inner work to move through that subconscious energy, of which kept me in that cycle of moving back and forth. And once you step into that, magic happens. So if you're in that space, if this is resonating where you're like, how do I step into what I'm really looking to connect to my passion? How do I step into that? What is holding you back? What are the patterns that you're doing? What are the cycles that are going around? And where does that stem from? Those are the big pieces there. I'm talking about worthiness for, right? This is relatable to me. This could be relatable to you, and it could look like it in different ways. Like maybe, yes, you're expressing you have passion and that you're really like, okay, this is what I really want to do. But how are you manifesting that physically in this world? How does that look? Does it look delayed? Does it look like distractions, right? So take a look at that inner being and where that sits. And so working within this Akashic field, we really help to move it. So that's a little bit of what wants to come through so far. I know there's been a couple more people coming in, so feel free to type in. I've been doing just channeled collective messages, and I'm cool doing that the whole time today. I'll be live for a little bit longer, or if you have a question, type that in. This piece here is for space, and if someone has a question, there are other people within that vibration, that same field, that might feel very similar. So I know what's coming through could be relatable, but if there's any support I could provide, a personal support, type that in the chat, or feel free to say, yes, that resonates, if that resonates with you, or thumbs up. Or heart, or whatever it may be that you guys are able to send over. Feel free to subscribe to my channels too. I'm going to be doing this tomorrow same time, and next week Tuesday to Friday same time, and I have a giveaway going on as well. If you check out my website, myawakeningwithin.com, you'll see a pop-up once you go on that says giveaway, and there's an opportunity to win attunements, an Akashic reading or two. So check those out. I'm just kind of putting myself out there. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you go to the giveaway, when you subscribe to all of these platforms, you get more entries. So you'll definitely want to do that. But definitely subscribe if you are loving what you are hearing. And if we don't have any questions, any personal questions, which I'm not seeing, I can just, I'll give it a second and I'll do a little bit more of sound healing here, just to move that energy forward. Just hydrating here, if you guys don't mind. I have a sound bowl. I'm an energy healer, and I channel in light language and different energy that flows through. So just kind of relax with me here. And just close your eyes if you're still here. Just close those eyes. Okay. Just come back slowly to your body. And then just come back in and allow yourself to just move that energy, move your fingers and your toes. And just slowly come back in here. And just feel free, like I said, if you have any questions, put it in the chat. Looking for any guidance here. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of keep flowing with this collective reading until someone just kind of put something in the chat there. The big thing that I'm hearing here when I tap into the collective energy is this alignment. Okay, we are back live. It just ended for a quick second. I don't know why it ended. Okay. All right, we are back live though, it says. So thank you for sticking through that. So just allowing this energy to come through, just allowing, I'm just feeling so much in the heart space here with me, guys. I'm just feeling this connection to passion. Okay, just this this connection to true self. And how do we do it? How do we unpack what it really means to be connected to our true self? We have just so much distortion from other people, right? Other people's wants, other people's desires that can be projected onto us and unintentionally, right? I don't, there's so much unconscious projection and reactions that are coming from trauma that hasn't been released from the body. And so the body then wants to react in this way towards others. And so it's really important to kind of unpack what is not us, what is not, okay, is this projection from someone else? Because we can make a lot of things very personal with, I mean, right? It can be, how can it not be personal when someone is projecting their emotions onto us? But mainly a lot of times it's about them. It's about what they've gone through and the trauma that they've perceived and gone through, and now that filter's coming through and projecting onto us, right? So all of these aspects that happen throughout our life, how do we then dismantle those beliefs, the passed down beliefs from generations, to allow us to really connect with who we truly are? And that is an ongoing spiritual journey, right? That's an ongoing aspect of ourselves that we are unwinding. So, how do we do that piece by piece, right? Bit by bit, and understanding and bringing one aspect of awareness to us at a time. That's all it takes, is like one step, right? I think the big thing for me in my journey was I was never fully aware. The fact that I wasn't as present. And the more that I realized that, or I actually realized that after going through PTSD, and I was out of work for 5 months where I could not function, and I had so much in my nervous system that it brought up all of this repressed trauma that I never dealt with. And something, a different situation brought it up now. So now is the chance to kind of work through that. And after coming on the outside of that in a different time, I finally realized I was never really present. I had repressed and suppressed all of these emotions to traumas. I suppressed everything from within. And this was the chance to finally move through that. So all of the stories of trauma or things that are connected to parents or family or school, or, kids at school, if there's any bullying, all of that is projected onto us. And it's for us to then take these emotions to the forefront and allow and acknowledge it and not bypass it. Allow a space for it and allow us to really dive in to release that. And once we do, we're allowing ourselves to now create a reality that is in alignment, because now we're saying, okay, this is not us. And what is us? For me, I didn't know what I'm like. Oh, well, I've done a lot of unpacking of like who I'm not. And I'm like, well, who am I? Right. So, what does that alignment mean? And so that was a really good chance where it was like kind of a clean slate for me to like jump into, to feel like, what am I passionate about? Because I did not know that I was going to be doing, getting into energy work and doing readings and doing events and holding space for other people. I didn't know that was going to be a thing when I first started my journey. I was like, okay, I'm up for this releasing, and I'm up for, I did ayahuasca and I did so much healing there, and I'm up for all of this other work. but I didn't know I was going to be doing all this for other people. So that's where you kind of start to step into alignment there, where you're like, you're just flowing with that moment, that present moment. And that present moment, once I got to a certain fork in the road, I fully decided I could not live with what I was living with and the PTSD, and it was debilitating. I was out of work. So I made a conscious decision and I was very fortunate to have a space that provided in that first month of treatment a little bit of everything. So I was very fortunate enough to go in, and I had sound healing for the first time. I did equine therapy. I did EMDR. I did spiritual and conscious living coaching, and all of it was covered for 1 month on my insurance. And the universe provided that because I said yes. I fully stepped into it and I said yes, that I'm going to go and work through every ounce of whatever wants to come up. And so when I stepped into that first little bit and started working on EMDR, I was there for a specific traumas that just happened and unfolded. But it took me back decades to move through this repressed trauma or move through emotions that I hadn't felt. And so allowing that to unfold in this beautiful way just allowed me to step into who I am slowly. Mind you, it wasn't like a big, like, I just jumped into everything quickly. So, yeah, I feel like this is connecting to some people too here, because I know there are some people, you haven't put any questions in the chat. I'm just kind of allowing this to flow through. And so allow yourself, what's coming through for this collective is allow yourself to try things that you haven't tried before. Allow yourself to sit with something that is uncomfortable. And when you sit in that space, you can start to bring to your awareness, right? Why is it that I'm uncomfortable? And start to unpack and start to release that, right? Is there judgment, right? Do we feel like others are judging us? And that comes from a space of us judging ourselves too. Yeah, so allowing that to just kind of flow through. Good question. How do you enter the Akashic Records? Thank you. So, and feel free to subscribe to my channel here. So if you kind of like what you're seeing, I'm just going live the next few days and then next week as well. So hit that subscribe button. So we all have access to our Akashic Records. It is innately ours. It is our energetic database of everything we've experienced in this lifetime, and we can tap into other lifetimes. So how we can access it is some people just access it just by, starting to go into that meditative space, that altered space. So you can kind of go into you're going into a meditation and you have intention. You just have intention to say, okay, I'm going into my Akashic Records. Now, there are different what's called prayers or gateway prayers. So it's just kind of words, okay? Now words hold a resonance or frequency. It's a vibration. And it's all about intention. So if you work with a practitioner who's kind of teaching how to enter the Akashic Records, now some have certain prayers that they've received themselves through their own guidance, through their own journey. And then some people have worked with other practitioners and they kind of share that. And so, like I said, everything has a frequency or a resonance. And so you might be in a space, it's a fifth dimensional space. It's a consciousness space that you connect in to enter in with that frequency. So I work with what's called your Akashic Enlightenment. So it includes your Akashic Records and it includes the Book of Truth. And so the Book of Truth is just the laws of the universe. It's an 11th dimensional space. It's a higher vibrational space containing just the different laws of the universe. If we're like, what's the how do we manifest? What's the law of one, right? Or whatever it is. It brings in this space of universal knowledge outside of ego, or outside of, I guess, if you want to call it like modern science. And there's nothing wrong with science, but sometimes there's rules or things that when I go and I learn something, when I'm in the Book of Truth and in my Akashic Records, I may learn something that maybe seems a little bit different than what my physical reality says, right? Like, how do I heal myself instantly, right? I can't just open a science book and kind of maybe see that like right there. But what I've kind of learned within going in this space is the ability for us to heal ourselves from within. And of course, there's different scenarios, and everything is different out there. But it's this true power that is for everyone, right? There's no gatekeeping. So it's a little bit of a couple different things. Hopefully that answered your question, because I started to go into a little bit more. But it's all with intention. All with intention. Some people have the prayer to help with focus as well. And so that's definitely an important aspect to kind of step into that altered state. And then all it is us stepping into that altered state and allowing this information that's already within us in our field, allow that to present itself. Now, the first time a lot of people step into their Akashic Records, they may not really feel like they're getting a lot, but you are. You're basically attuning yourself to a higher vibration to take that information in and eventually drop that down into a physical knowledge. So you may not really hear anything, see anything like that, but our body's attuning. So that's something that's really important, as well as sometimes giving your ego a task. So when I first started going in, I learned to write. So I'd ask the question and I would write out everything that came, giving our ego this important task of, all right, we're going to not get in the way, right? Because we're going to question everything we hear or see. Right? We're going to question it. So we're telling our ego, it's okay. We're going to have you do this very important task because we need to document our experience and allow ourselves to then get out of the way and just document. It's also all in your question. So a lot of people ask leading questions, like they want the outcome to be a certain way, and you lead your question in the Akashic Records that you want to know, and you're like, how, you lead it with the answer basically that you want it to be. So that's important when you kind of start to step into that space, that all of this is coming from a non-biased space. And that starts from the very second you come in, to how you're documenting, to how you are asking for information, because we can will it to be the answer that we want. And that's important to kind of look at that too. So it's such a good question. I love talking about what I do because it's beautiful, and it's transformed my life in ways that are beyond my imagination or what I could have perceived at that time. So any other questions, feel free to hit that subscribe or follow my channel. Feel free. I'm doing channeled messages. So if you have any like personal guidance that you're looking for, that is what I'm doing here today. So drop that in. Feel free to also check out my website. I just posted it here as well. So I have a giveaway going on. If you like what you're hearing and you're like, hey, a lot of this resonates with me, check out the giveaway. I'm giving away Akashic readings, and I'm giving away attunements. So check them out. You're going to want to subscribe to my channel as well, so you kind of can see when I go live again. I'll be live, and I'm still live now, so feel free to drop in any questions. But I'll be live again tomorrow and next week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific time. So you'll want to subscribe so you get that notification when I go live, in case you're, you got to pop out right now. So let me see. I do. Okay, so I have your question, or I have here, Lindsay, do I do mediumship? So I do. So because I am tapped into my Akashic field right now, mediumship is a different, or when you're, mediumship could mean a couple things. So let me take a step back. So mediumship could be working with loved ones and doing readings there. And mediumship could be healing. So working with channeling through working with different beings to channel through healing. Some people do trance mediumship and they've fully stepped out, and they allow guides and special healers in the spirit realm to come and to do healing. So I do both. When I am in the Akashic field, though, I'm in a space that works with a lot of different consciousnesses that are benevolent. So working with all the way up to 12th density ascended master consciousness and channeling that through. So they're kind of different planes, right? I've had angels bring forward loved ones before, but the way that it's communicated is more on, there's more guidance in helping with whatever the question is. So it's more in that avenue. So yes, I do mediumship. But when I'm stepped into the Akashic field, it'll be more channeled messages, connecting to different beings and ascended masters. And then I do actually quite a bit of events in person where we do step into mediumship. So, yeah. Okay. So because I'm already stepped into my Akashic field, it would be a little bit hard to kind of connect in. Also, another thing I wanted to mention as well to you is, with mediumship, and I don't know if anyone has ever said anything to you, but it's sometimes difficult to say, all right, who's going to show up? We want, this person or this, dog and loved one to specifically step forward. And we can always have that intention, but it's never kind of like a guarantee, because they're doing so many different things in spirit world that they're not always going to step forward. Also, there's a little bit of a process too. I don't know how it is for pets, but I know for humans there's a little bit of a process in how they step into like a review of their life and kind of accumulate, what's kind of gone on in this lifetime. So I'm so sorry for your loss. I think that the big thing that's coming through, not connected to mediumship, just because you put it out here and I'm providing a platform to kind of help support people today. What I'm feeling from within you is, of course, what I'm feeling from within you is going into some self-love here. There's such unconditional love that and they're not even pets, right? They're like our little babies, right? And providing it's like our dogs or cats they provide such pure unconditional love. Like, we don't have to do anything. And they just are there. They show up and they love us unconditionally without conditions. And I'm feeling kind of like your higher self come through and just kind of um helping to guide you, whether they've been kind of giving you messages or trying to help direct you. And even to, I'm hearing like your higher self say that even your dog might even be kind of around, kind of helping to guide you in how to continue to fill your cup up with that self love, right? Continue to hold that space of self love for yourself. And allow yourself to feel that. And to, I'm just hearing as well, like just grief, allow yourself to feel that. And not that you aren't, because we all feel in different ways, but allowing ourselves to go deeper within, to express that however that wants to be expressed. And it could be, it could be anger, it could be sadness. So just allowing that to kind of come through so that you can fully process and process those emotions in a healthy way. But yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss there. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that here. So, yeah, and hopefully that helps, as people are coming in and out here, guys, feel free to ask any questions. So I am right now within my Akashic field. And I'm tapped into that vibration. So anything that you any questions that you kind of pop into the chat, whether we're working with your higher self, whether we have different consciousnesses that come through to flow through any guidance that you're looking for at this time, or if you're just kind of like here, you're like, what is this about? This just popped up on my page, and you're kind of like, I don't know. um yeah, just hit that subscribe button too. I'll be going live different days. Yeah, of course. Oh, I love it. Yeah, the memories are so 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 important. I love that you're doing that. So I love that. Yeah, and this is a time for, um there's a lot of, and I even feel it too, because I just heard for the collective. There's people who are going through different aspects of grief, and grief could be losing a loved one, it could be losing a job, it could be um, a friend stepping out of your life, right? There's a lot of grief that sometimes we don't process in that way. Sometimes we kind of say and said, hey, this is just part of life, but there's so much emotion behind it. And so that's really important to step into and understand how that's like impacting us in our life, and sometimes even moving forward in a way, kind of even being tied to the energy of just that grief kind of staying within our body. And this is not so much as the question that you just asked. This is more of a collective like understanding of what wants to come through for grief, just to it's one of from my personal experience, and some of the people that I've worked with, it's been one of the aspects that sometimes people suppress a little bit, especially if it's not the loss of a person, but if it's like the loss of a job or something. People sometimes don't make it. They don't process it as much as they should. When I lost my first one of my jobs, I had I was so mad at myself for putting so much energy into that time and energy into that job, and feeling like I wasn't seen or heard or respected, and not given any notice, not giving any like reprimands on like, this is what you did wrong. It was just one day my job was ended, and I was so mad, and I would stay up at night, and I would cry and not really understand, but I would still flow through that energy of like being with those emotions. and allowing that. I even ended up I took a trip who was grieving, at that time, breakup, and we ended up flowing and hiking up in an area and got lost because we were so in our thoughts, and just that kind of led us to being off the path, so to speak. And so that is really important, to allow that grief to kind of come through and however it wants to manifest, because otherwise it'll pop up to us in the future. So that's so important, and to look at whatever the loss is, to allow that to be recognized as a loss. Even if it's like, oh, it's a job, I'm just going to get another one. Yeah, that's fine. That's true. It is true. But we also don't want to like bypass the emotions that we may feel with it, because it'll come up in another way down the road. And so we'll just kind of feel it unconsciously down the road. So that's something that's super important. Feel free, as you guys, I have so many people popping in and out of the live. Feel free to type in the chat if you have any questions. I'm within the Akashic field right now. So I'm doing collective. I've just kind of been channeling for the collective. I did a little bit of personal, but if you guys have any questions, pop them in. Follow my channels. I'll be doing more of these. So if you're like, hey, I don't have time, or you like to kind of see more of my stuff, also feel free to go to my website. I'm going to pop it up here. It's myawakeningwithin.com. I do personal Akashic readings, personal energy healing, spiritual and conscious living coaching. I do a lot of online events and in-person events. I'm in the Phoenix metro area, Arizona. But I can do everything remote. I have a giveaway. So enter the giveaway to get where you can get a few of these free things, free readings, or free personal readings that are actually longer. Because I'm in my own field, I am a psychic, so I can tap in, but it's going to be very personal. When we go into and tap into your own Akashic records. So definitely feel free to tag, subscribe to some of these channels, and follow along with my journey. Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. So how can you be sure when the trauma has been cleared? That is a good question. So first off, I just want to say that we always have free will. So what happens is trauma can create, and I'm looking at this from a spiritual stance, right? Not a medical stance. So from that stance, in my experience within the Akashic and with working with people within that space, is that we have traumas that we go through, and we may hold that within our body sometimes we just kind of hold that in mindsets, where then we have those mindsets and we move forward with our reality, and we create our reality now with those mindsets, right? So just kind of keeping that in mind. When we start to move this energy through, we allow ourselves to step into this space of pure innate power, and stepping into who we truly are and connecting to who we truly are. So what happens is, the more that we clear trauma and clear things from our body, we are stepping into alignment, stepping into understanding who we truly are. And sometimes trauma can kind of be layered. It's like we have this one thing that happened here, and maybe it's multiple things. Maybe it's things that we haven't even really remembered, right? And we have free will. This is like the important piece. So we have, it's all important, but an important aspect is, once we have a session, or we feel we're moving that energy through, we have free will to go back to that previous way of being. We can step out from a session, step out that door, and make that decision to go back to these old ways of being. So once we do that, not that trauma hasn't so much as cleared, right? Because our body could be could feel that move through, but now we're going back to this old reality. We're going back to these old ways of doing things, and now we're going to start to co-create based on that reality again. And then we could start to feel physical things in our body again. Sometimes when we get to a point of feeling physical issues in our actual body, whether it's chronic or not chronic, it could be related to trapped energy, emotions, kind of all those things. So I use my body as an indicator. If I ever feel any back issues, I mean, I was in a car accident when I was younger, but it wasn't really a big, where it would cause life back issues. So if I ever have back issues, I know, okay, this is related to energy that's kind of trapped there, right? Energy, mindsets, emotions. And so I use my body as an indicator. How does my body feel? Do I have physical symptoms? And if I do, that doesn't mean that this physical symptom is related to the same trauma, by the way. I always look at it as there's different aspects that are going to impact us differently. Some people, like if you have any like leg stuff, right? A lot of times, like the mindset could be you stepping forward into your alignment or who you truly are. And then once you start to actually step into that alignment, that leg stuff goes away, that aspects or those things start to go away. And it could be, well, maybe I have shoulder issues, and maybe I put a lot of everyone's issues or weight, so to speak, on my shoulders, and I worry about it, right? So they're different things, and that could impact the body differently. So it's really hard to say specifically when we know definitely something has cleared, but use your body as an indicator. Use your mindset as an indicator. Are you going back to old ways of being? Are you seeing patterns continue to come back in? And all of that can indicate that there's some deeper onion layer work. And sometimes that happens. There's a lot of deep layers to healing trauma, right? And recognizing. And when one aspect comes out, we may now be ready to see another aspect that we were hiding. So it's a beautiful, my spirit team always shows me onions. It's a beautiful dismantling of the onion within us. So hopefully that helped. There's no black and white. Yeah, so let's see, we have here. So feel free, guys, to subscribe to my channels, follow my channels here, go onto my website here as well, enter in the giveaway, or feel free to ask any questions. We have a couple that have come in, so I'm just gonna kind of look in here. So, okay, so you have a couple of things that you're saying that you've struggled with here. And that you're using spirituality to try and help yourself. You've also been through trauma. Yeah, that's a big thing. I love that it's okay to come forward and say, like, yes, we can struggle. Like, this is a human experience. We have things that we've gone through, and that you're using your spirituality to try to move through that. I think an aspect of going through trauma and being in that space is sometimes we can feel like we're alone. So the more that we connect to whatever spirituality means to us, that could literally be you go out in nature and you connect with yourself. It doesn't have to be like, I know the way that I can kind of speak and talk about consciousness and energy and all of that. It's like there's no one way. And if anyone ever tells you there's one way, there's never one way to connect to your spirituality, because it's you, right? So I love that you are using your spirituality to help, and find the tools and find the things that work. And not everything everyone says is going to work. And that's part of that spiritual journey, is this journey to uncover who you are and what feels good inside for you. So I love that. It's such a journey, and spirituality is this tool that no one can take away from us. So that's the key. I love that. Okay, so we have here a comment. Okay, so I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Kara here. Healthy eating and sleep and no sex with Kundalini. Okay, so I'm not sure. I know you're making I think you're making a comment and not a question here. But yes, healthy eating is so important, because we live in this physical body. And I think you wrote that when I was talking about, um, no, I'm not sure. So I'm not gonna pretend. But yeah, healthy eating, this nutrition in our body, like our physical body is the one is running here, right? And sleep is so important too. Absolutely. That mindset. How do we connect to our mindset and have these, see where our thoughts are coming from? How do we, if we're so tired, we're always catching up. It's never gonna, it's never good. I don't know about, I don't know what the comment was about the no sex with Kundalini. I'm not sure. But when it comes to sexuality or sexual energy, I, I, I believe there are no rules. I believe there's a lot out there that a lot of spiritual teachers may give, or society. And when I connect to my spirituality, I connect to limitlessness and abundance and infinite. And there's no structure in that. So however that looks to someone may look different to someone else. So that's just kind of where I'm at with that. And I feel that there's a lot, for me specifically, that's been an aspect of my healing and spiritual journey, with working through the sexual trauma that I've gone through, the sexual abuse and just different things in my life. And so I'm at this space where I'm looking at this infinite being within, and however that looks. But the big thing that I've learned for me is that, I don't need something external to be empowered with my sexual energy. And, there's a lot of external, there's a lot of, right, this relationship or this aspect here. And this energy, that Kundalini energy, that energy within us, is within us, right? So we don't need that external. Right. So I think that, I don't know, want to assume if that's what you were saying, but we don't need that external to connect to that innate sexual energy within us. It's all within us. It's all within our power. But whatever people want to do, however they feel, as long as we're connecting to those feelings. Because for me, I had a lot of unconscious behavior connected to my sexuality, because I had suppressed trauma that I didn't even remember, and my body was just kind of acting in certain ways. So, as I say, as long as people are feeling and connecting into, like, understanding, like, where something's coming from and how they're behaving, and consciously looking at what does that mean, being really present with it, I say the sky's the limit. So, awesome. That was such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful question and comment there. Yeah, I'm glad you're continuing to move forward. Yeah, the more we connect to presence, That is so beautiful. So, and feel free, guys, if you are looking for any, we've had a couple people ask some personal stuff here, some guidance, or just some general questions. And I'm in the Akashic field. So, I'm just kind of channeling, I'm just allowing this energy to flow through, and it could be a collective as well. Feel free to check out my website, myawakeningwithain.com. I have a giveaway there as well. So feel free to check that out and subscribe to my channels and follow my channels there, and follow along as I'll be live again tomorrow and 4 days next week, Tuesday to Friday. So yeah, it's feel free. I'm going to pop this back in to ask a question. I still have some time here. So or comments too. Like if you're feeling this is resonating with you, feel free to like pop that in and be like, I resonate with that. Or if you don't, if you don't resonate with it too, that is all good. Okay, I'm trying to live more present as I've been living in the past for a long time. Yeah. And a, a lot of us do. I feel like you probably were here for the piece I had started with me talking about when I was experiencing PTSD, but just a little snippet is like um, I wasn't actually really present, and I realized that that my unconscious and subconscious behavior was dictating how I was living. Right. And it was subconscious. So I didn't realize it. So it's like, how do I know if like that's how I'm living? So the more that we're present, the more that we're right, not worried about future, not worried about past, because it's both. We got, I know I can say that I'm still working on, and I do know that worrying about the future can be a thing, and the past. And when we're in both sides, it's like this presence and connection to who I truly am is actually split. That energy is kind of like split with like all these aspects of situations and people, and it's not allowing me to act from my true self. So the more that I unwire and I say, okay, like for me, I can talk about futures. Like, why do I need to worry about this future? I get there are physical things in in our reality. Like there are physical aspects of like I have to be somewhere on time. I have to do this. I have right. I get it. When things don't go to plan though, like if you're late somewhere, it's like it happened. There's nothing that you can do about it at that moment. So in the moment, um, you can kind of come back to presence and say, okay, I'm here, or I'm driving and I'm late, like there's traffic or whatever. It's like, all right, I can't do anything about it in this moment. I'm just going to be with myself and allow myself to move forward. And I can't physically move all these cars out of the way, right? So I could either have a time where I'm like really angry in the car and like having like all this time move into that space, or I can kind of be really present and know that I'm just doing what I can. And you would be surprised at how much you can shift the energy by being in that present space. I had a little bit of a drive. It was like a over 2 hour drive to the airport, and I was a little bit late, like running behind, and there was traffic, and I just heard from my guidance to vibe up, and I just threw on some jams. I knew it was going to be okay, all good. I knew I was going to make it to my flight, and this was a very busy airport, LAX, so Los Angeles, a very very busy airport, and I get in, and there is no one on the line in front of me. I get into security. There are 0 people in front of me in LAX in a busy time too. It wasn't like it was 6 a.m. So whatever reality I created, it was in line with this presence and this vibration of joy and this energy of everything's going to be okay, and everything was okay. And I'm not saying that everything's always perfect like that, but we can shift a lot more than sometimes we're led to believe. So just throwing that out there. And oh, thank you, Anita. Oh, thank you so much for the recommendation there. Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah, feel free to book if you guys are interested in what I'm saying. I'm just kind of free flowing, which is allowing information to kind of come out. And you can go to my website if you are interested. I do personal one-on-one Akashic sessions. I do spiritual and conscious living coaching, energy healing. I can do everything remote. I also am doing attunements starting on the 20th, where there are a set of 5 attunements, and it's only $75 for 5 attunements connecting to angelic unity consciousness attunements, and stepping into that presence and releasing what's in our way. And so it's a group attunement, and that's how it's really it's that affordable. So they act as healing sessions as well. So we're releasing and we're stepping into alignment, and we're understanding how we're expressing that angelic beingness into this lifetime, because we all have that. We're all connected, we're all one. And how do we step into that? So I have that group attunement as well, which I'm excited about. So definitely check out my site there. And let me pop this back on. So if you guys have any questions, definitely subscribe to my channels here. If you're like, I kind of like what she's saying, but you wanna hear more, I get it. Like, who is this person here? Who's online? And one of the messages that's coming through, and I feel like there's so many people that are like in a space of like, how do I do what I want to do as for fun or as my career, and step into that space. And so I feel like there's such a big message on that today, with a lot of people I've been working with, at least, and stepping into who we truly are bit by bit takes a little, one step at a time, and a little bit at a time. And the more that we are consciously moving in that direction, and we say, okay, we want to work on ourselves and move out what is in our way of stepping into that alignment, or understanding what is in the way of it. Because if it's deep within us, if it's subconscious, sometimes we don't know, right? Sometimes we once it comes to our purview, then we're like, oh, okay, that's what it is. But if there's resistance, that's one of the words that's kind of flowing through right now. It's like, if you have resistance, if you're like, well, what about money? What about, paying my bills? What about all of these things? And there's a lot of truth to that. There's also a lot of truth in this illusion of what society says stability is. And the more that they've kind of said, hey, this is your 9 to 5, you go to college, you go, you pay the bills, you get your job, this is what you're doing, right? That is society imprinting, or generational, or parents or family imprinting what they've learned. And that's not everyone's path, right? Not everyone goes to college. I went to college. I paid over 6 figures in debt for it. And then I still came back around to a space that, which I paid off, but I still came back to a space of stepping into, I'm doing something that I did not get a degree for. Now, and that's okay. And so this foundation, I can tell you, my root chakra, when I fully stepped into my business, was really throwing throwing a lot. Let's just say that. And if you're not familiar with the root chakra or the chakras, your root chakra is connected to it's one of your lowest chakras, connected to your pelvis area, and connected to stability, security, safety. And this is where people have the most work, a lot of trauma and work to do is around that area. And so when you step into kind of spirituality, a lot of people are connecting with their third eye. They're opening up their crown chakra. They're connecting here. And there's other aspects within us, within those energy centers that have trauma that's there, that is ready to be released. And the more that we do that, the more that the channels then become clearer and clearer. And that connection becomes clearer and clearer. The more that we do the work, if you're stepping into kind of connecting with your intuition and your abilities there, the more that you do that, if you're practicing with someone, a lot of times we're reading someone and it's mirroring back what is happening to us, or even if it's unconscious to us, and it can activate a lot of emotions, even unconsciously. We might not even know why, and then all of a sudden, like, our body might kind of be responding in a way. And so it's important to continue to do all of that inner work there, and that helps with you stepping into, like, what you're trying to do, your passion, right? Because if you're like, well, how am I going to do it because of money and paying bills and all of that, right? Because people can step into a business in their passion, and then it doesn't thrive like how they were really envisioning it. And when you're in a space of true inspiration and connection to yourself, you are doing things that are connected to helping and allowing the universe to provide for you. And you're stepping into that alignment of knowing that you are being guided. And you could step into a store or a space that puts an investor in your way, that puts someone in your way, that opens up many doors for you. And following that inner guidance and knowing and stepping into that alignment and just taking a chance on yourself could open the doors in ways that you weren't even thinking. You're like, well, I'm opening my business and it's about what I'm doing and about how I show up in the physical presence, but it's also where you're going by inspiration and following that knowingness and knowing that that guidance is coming to you for a reason. And so you can meet someone that puts you on the map, right? You can meet someone by going to that meeting, that networking event that puts you on the map. But it's stepping into that confidence and alignment there, and that inner safetyness and that inner securityness and that inner knowing that okay, I may not fully be confident, but I know that I'm provided. I'm doing the inner work to see where that maybe lack of confidence is coming from. And I start putting myself in spaces where the right people are, and more people hear about me, and more, right? It just unfolds. However that looks, like, that's just kind of really a little bit relatable to me. But you know, when we look at confidence and we look at putting ourselves out there, right? That's an aspect, that's a pattern where we can say that we're doing everything that we think that we're doing, that we need to be doing to put ourselves out there. And maybe we're just taking a little step at a time, which is part of the process, and it's okay. But if we want ourselves to thrive fully in this self-alignment, in this truth, in this innate power within us, we keep diving in, we keep doing the work, we keep releasing, and then we follow that inner guidance and that inspired action and manifesting and manifesting that reality. So which is an amazing topic that I love to talk on. I love to talk about manifesting. So I will be talking about that tomorrow on the live. So if you're liking what you're hearing, it's kind of like a precursor to me talking more about manifesting. Definitely hit that subscribe button, or kind of subscribe to my page or my channel, and dive deeper in it with me for manifesting, because there's a lot of teachings out there And I have a couple examples of how manifesting has happened pretty seamlessly, and I love to share it. So we'll dive into deeper into that. Okay, so I have here. Okay, so we have a comment here. So you got Reiki done once, and the girl said that you have monkey mind. You get it because of that chatter in your head. Meditation is helping you to yes, they keep it quiet sometimes. Yes, and you think it's also connected to anxiety and worry because you have can cause the chatter in your head. So I don't know if there was a question if the anxiety and worry can cause the chatter in your head. So if that is the question, it can, right? So thoughts are energy. Everything has a resonance or is energy. Even like the materials that we wear have a frequency. They can measure it. So now you're talking about a non-physical space, and now we're talking about our thoughts. And so if we're in anxiety and we're in worry, right? It's a thought. The thought could be, I'm worried about, am I going to be able to do this next month? Am I going to be able to pay this bill? Am I going to be able to show up here? Right? These are all thoughts coming through. Maybe, I don't know, they say we have like 60,000 plus thoughts a day, I think. And most of the people, they say, like on average, like people are in a more negative space of thinking. A lot of this is connected to unconscious, subconscious energy that has not been resolved or moved out of. So if we're now, I'm not a doctor, not in medicine, talking from this spiritual aspect and from what I've seen from my experience, is that when we're constantly focused on that thought, or similar thoughts to it, we're allowing it to kind of ball up into this big energy. So yes, that monkey mind, that brain can kind of keep going. So there's a couple things, and you're already doing it. Meditation is super helpful. And even if someone says, oh, well, I can't meditate because I'm thinking so much, keep doing it, right? Keep doing it, because it's a practice. We're practicing and we're unfolding and we're working with that muscle to calm the mind. And it might not come like this, right? Because we're working and moving through things. Now, another thing is we want to interrupt this loop. There could be something in my mind that I keep thinking about, it keeps coming around. Well, we got to break that loop somehow, right? I like to raise my vibration through music. So I have a couple songs on, sometimes just replay the same songs, and some people make fun of me, but I love it because I know the words of the song are positive and high vibration, and I can dance to it, which is important for me. But when you start to bring in something like that, music is very healing. Sound is very healing. So when you put on something else, and like say you have this worry or this anxiety that keeps coming back in, first we interrupt it. All right, throw some high vibrational positive music on. Allow yourself to sing and kind of get into that space. And probably by the end of the song, I can't quote for every single person, but if you have a song that has positive words in it, and you're jamming out, your energy is going to change. And when your energy changed and shifts, you broke that loop that kind of kept going around. The more that you do it, the more that we break these patterns, the more that we set our neural pathways, which are creating that patterns in our brain. We're creating a new pattern, and we're saying, when we feel this, or when we have these thoughts, we're redirecting and we're creating a new way of being, and we're allowing our body to process it in that way. Another thing is when we have anxiety and worry, where are these mindsets coming from, right? So many people, there's so much passed down generational kind of ways of viewing life, and it's for us to kind of unpack some of that, to move through, to understand the root of some of this that comes in here, and maybe why our first reaction might be this anxiety or worry. So unpack that a little bit, and just kind of, we can dive in and say, okay, this is where some of these mindsets started to really form, and move through that energy and do the inner work, what people call sometimes shadow work, and what we can kind of sometimes go through. And it's not, shadow work is basically where we're shining a light on aspects of us that we may have shoved down unintentionally. Maybe it's how we needed to process things at the time. And, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really learn emotional, what's it called? Like coping mechanisms growing up. It's because it just is not something that's like taught. Even in school, I started to learn about breath work, and connecting to mindfulness and this present and this kind of being within my body after I started having PTSD. So this is decades later where I'm learning these healthy coping mechanisms, these healthy ways of being. And a lot of these emotions are trapped and kind of shoved down. So going through and shining a light on this allows us to kind of have a voice, allows these emotions to have that voice that they never had before, and allow it to be expressed and know that it's safe, and then allows that energy to move through, and to move and be processed, and to move through and out. And this way, that energy of like an anxiety or worry changes. It navigates to something that's more positive, something that's being more conscious of anxiety in the moment and saying, all right, it's going to be okay. Right? The more that we do that, the more that we see and experience those feelings of knowing that it's going to be okay, by creating these new patterns. And the more that we feel that within our body and are really present with it when it's happening, the more that we are like, our body knows that it's going to be okay. Our nervous system knows that it's going to be okay, because we're in a lot of fight or flight. We're in a lot of fight or flight that we've learned from when we were younger, and now our body is expressing that. So how do we repattern and recognize and come back into presence? And that's part of why I love spirituality, is connecting within, understanding, diving deeper, and moving out what is not mine, right? Because any generational trauma or ideas or society ideas are not mine. And then that allows me to step into me as I release that. So I love it. I know I didn't even know if that was a question, or more, it led into a beautiful, beautiful message that wanted to come through. So thank you for the participation or question. I don't know. Either which way, it was something that wanted to come through. So I'm going to take a sip of water. I know we have still quite a bit here from different channels. If you haven't, yeah, absolutely. If you haven't had a chance, I'm going to get off unless anyone else has if you have another question, I'd be more than happy to answer another question. Or if you have any thoughts, feel free to pop that in the chat. If not, and I'll kind of wait to see if there's anything else there. If not, I'm going to pop up here so that you guys can see. Check out my site if you love what you were kind of hearing today. Feel free to check out my site. There's a giveaway. Once you go into myawakeningwithin.com, you'll see like a pop-up that says giveaway. So it'll take you to the page where you can enter to win readings. I do Akashic readings, so I have that there. I have attunements that you can enter to win. The more that you follow on different pages and different platforms, the more entries that you get. I'm trying to build up my YouTube platform a little bit. So if you guys are able to enter the giveaway and subscribe via the giveaway, you'll get some extra entries. So if you're able to subscribe and follow my pages, I really appreciate it, especially if you've kind of stuck around for a bit and you've kind of like what you heard. This would be an awesome energy exchange of just time and just kind of helping to build up that platform so I could do more of these awesome messages and discussions and topics in the future, and build that presence there. So I don't see any other things in the chat. As a reminder too, feel free, you can also book a session with me, personal sessions. I do Akashic readings and healings. I do energy healings. I do spiritual and conscious living coaching. I do business coaching as well and business transformation. So if you have a business or you're like kind of in a beginning phase, I bring products to market, or in my career, I've brought products to market for many different sizes of companies and a lot of big companies. And so I've taken the aspect of energy and I'm merging them. There is business coaching, but there's so much energy behind how our business thrives and what kind of energy is in our way, right? What kind of thoughts are in our own way, or ourselves that are in our own way from allowing that business to thrive and taking those actionable steps to allow it to thrive. So I do business transformations that's a package that I have, but feel free, if you're like, you want to just try out one, check out my site, myawakeningwithin.com. Check out what I have to offer. I do attunements as well. Like I said, I know there's people have popped in and out, but I'm doing angelic conscious, unique consciousness attunements, connecting in with our angelic being in lifetimes. And there are 5 of them. That's a group attunement. So because of that, I was able to kind of really offer in a huge affordability there. So it's $75 for 5 attunements that act as 5 healings, allowing us to kind of release and step into our authenticity. And then how are we expressing this in the world? How are we looking to express that? So definitely give that a check there. And I really appreciate, I feel like some of you guys stuck around. Let me see if I have this here. Oh, thank you, Kat. Yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the comments there. I love it. So feel free to look at my info and yeah, come back tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, and next Tuesday to Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Check out my stuff, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you guys so much for coming today and for being here, and I will see you soon. All right, take care.